I'm trying to help people educate themselves a little bit, understand what they can do for themselves, and then understand where they have a need to take advice. Our whole purpose is we will continue to look after these people through their life, their financial life. This is what people worry about. We provide the solutions.
Hello, welcome to the CleverMoney Coffee Chat. My name is Joy and I am one of the financial advisor at CleverMoney. The reason for this chat today is to help you all with some tips about financial planning. And we have Joe Carroll, the Principal Director and the CEO of CleverMoney today this morning. And he will be answering most of our frequently asked questions for all of us today. Welcome, Joe. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks very much, Joe. I'm looking forward to answering as many questions as you have for me.
Absolutely, lovely. Well, Joe, to start with, I always wanted to ask you, ever since you told me about this video concept that we were planning for, I always wanted to ask you this. Why this type of video?
I see, look, we spend a lot of time on social media, and a lot of our clients look at social media as well. Now, there's a lot of entertaining social media, but there's very little educational social media. I find it's a great medium by which to maybe educate people a little bit more. But we can do it in such a way that it's probably a little bit more interactive or a little bit more engaging. And this is why I was thinking share with our people, share with our viewers a little bit what we do and why we do it. Because I believe financial planning is something that everybody should take seriously.
Fantastic. So when you say that, let's start with, what makes you feel that there is a need for financial planning for any of us?
It's simple enough. So many people are from different backgrounds, different circumstances, different earnings, different amounts. But I use the example that if you earn 100,000 a year and you spend 101,000 a year, you're going to worry, aren't you?
Right.
If you earn 30,000 a year and you spend 31,000 a year, you're going to worry.
That's the same.
It's the same. So sleepless nights happen in every house, no matter if it's a 3-bed terraced house or a 5-bed detached. So we have a need to deal with people and to help people in both of these houses, okay?
Of course, yeah, yes, yeah.
So we can't get to everybody. I'm trying to help people educate themselves a little bit and understand what they can do for themselves, and then understand where they have a need to take advice, to seek advice, and know where to go. We're regulated by the central bank. You, I, and our other staff are all licensed to give financial advice. So people should be able to know where to find people that are licensed, experienced, and regulated, in other words, that if they can trust the people who are advising them.
I get you.
Okay?
Okay.
So
you mean to say there's definitely a need for financial planning,
yes.
irrespective of whatever you earn?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Now the second question, which is very frequently asked, especially these days, people are really concerned about the market. It's a shaky market, and people doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
They're very confused,
yeah.
And sometimes even we as the advisors, we stand in a dilemma.
Yes.
Right? Because inflation and there is benefits extra given to the people,
Yes.
from the banks.
Yes.
So normally when it is in a crisis, right, the inflation happens,
yes,
right, and I mean what they normally do is they reduce the risk or the buying capacity.
Yes.
Right, but now they have increased the buying capacity with the inflation.
Yes.
So people are really confused. What do you say on that, Joe?
Well, the inflation has come from two sources. Number one, COVID.
Okay.
More specifically, COVID meant lockdowns. And lockdowns mean factories are shut, which means they can't make the items that we're looking for, which reduces supply And if demand is still there, but there's a reduce in supply, prices go up.
Right.
Inflation.
Yeah.
Now, our situation is although COVID is nearly gone,
Yeah.
there is still a country in which COVID is still a big issue, which is in China.
Yeah.
And China are pursuing a very aggressive anti-COVID policy, which means that they are still shutting down factories, which is reducing supply, and it means there's still inflation in common goods. Now, you ask me why there's inflation in foodstuffs and other things that don't come from China. The reason is Russia, or Ukraine more specifically. Ukraine supplies 40% of the world's wheat, and a nearly equal percentage of the world's fertilizer ingredients. So, how many wheat-based products do we consume? How many products do we consume that rely on fertilizer? It's pushing up prices.
Okay.
You push up prices, what happens? Inflation. What happens with inflation is the government is now increasing interest rates. The reason why they increase interest rates is they're trying to scare us psychologically into reducing our spending.
Right. Right.
To put more money in the bank and to save more money. That is the purpose of increasing interest rates.
Right. Sorry to cut you off now. Now, there are some benefits from the central bank, which is actually given from 1st Jan 2023.
Yes.
Right. So the buying of a property.
Yes.
Right. For a first-time buyer.
Yes.
It has been increased from 3.5 times to 4 times.
That is correct.
Right. So the common question which came out of my mind.
Yes.
Right. Or a confusing question, I would say.
Okay.
Right. So there is inflation.
Yes.
And there is extra benefits given as well.
Yes. Yes.
So when.
Okay. I think really the decision by the central bank to relax the rates for mortgage borrowing is more related to their belief that inflation is going to be short term and high interest rates are going to be short term. If there's a resolution to the conflict in Ukraine, that will have a benefit. The China effect on inflation will iron out eventually. So I believe, along with the central bank, that interest rate hikes will be temporary. Now, the purpose of the central bank relaxing the rates or the borrowing
benefits.
The borrowing rules, because it was 3.5 times and they pushed it out to 4 times salary. Now, inflation is affecting different people differently, and it's turned into a little bit of a two-tier economy. The people who remained in jobs during COVID have not been affected as badly as the people who were affected by COVID.
Of course.
In such a way, there was actually a very large divergence in how they've survived or managed through COVID, because the people who retained their salaries, the healthcare, the work from home people, they have continued to earn the same amount of money, but they've had reduced expenses.
Yes.
They've not gone on holiday, they've not been spending in restaurants, they've not been spending on lifestyle issues.
Yes.
Okay, so they've got more money in the bank. And the problem, and it's not helped inflation because they've still got that buying power. And even though prices have gone up, they're still willing to spend that little bit extra to get the good stuff.
Right.
So the central bank has recognized that a lot of these people have more discretionary income. So they feel more comfortable relaxing the rules for these people to get into the housing market.
Perfect. That's a brilliant answer. And yeah, exactly. That is always, been part of my concern. So that's amazing. Well, to move forward. So when we speak about the market, when we speak about the difficult times,
yes,
we definitely have to speak about the recession. So is the
recession?
Is the recession coming?
There already is a little bit of a recession.
Okay.
Okay. A recession comes when spending reduces. And the whole economy is built on continuing to grow. And once the economy stops growing or goes into negative, that is for a 3-month period, that is identified as a recession.
Recession.
Now, how many people will it affect compared to, let's say, what happened in 2008 to 2011? I think it's going to be, again, a two-tiered recession, in that the people who spend more of their money on the items that are affected by prices, which would be energy and food,
Okay.
they're going to be more affected than people who have a better balance of financial.
All right. All right. Now, in that case, investing
Yes.
in the property
Yes.
at the current market.
Yeah.
What is your take on it?
I'm nervous.
Okay. So when you say nervous, I think it has to be more.
Yeah, I think house prices are high for a country that has effectively a small population in relation to its size.
All right.
Okay. I look at South Korea as the same size as Ireland. It has a population 10 times more
Okay.
than Ireland,
Okay.
and its prices are marginally less than Ireland.
Okay.
Our prices are pushed up by build cost and cost of finance. Now, what I found is a lot of the input costs, which are cost of land, cost of finance, cost of in raw materials, and cost of labor. Cost of land has not really increased.
Okay.
Cost of finance has always been expensive since the recession, because it is very hard for builders to access finance because the banks went bust 15 years ago and they're nervous about lending.
Okay.
Cost of ingredients, materials has gone up hugely. Cost of labor has gone up hugely. There is a very tight labor market in construction in Ireland. They are the reasons that prices have been pushed up. Market forces should suggest that more people will come into this, drive down prices,
Okay.
and then the cost of input into building houses will reduce.
Will reduce. Okay.
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 Again, it's a demand and supply issue. There's not enough houses being built to satisfy the demand. That will change. And if there's a hard recession in Ireland, a lot of the mobile population will leave the country and seek employment elsewhere, because if you're paying €2,000 a month in rent and you can find a similar job paying €1,000 a month in rent in Germany, where will you go?
Of course, Germany.
So that's what I suspect will hold house prices for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and I suspect there will be a small drop in prices.
All right. Now, in case if people doesn't want to invest
Yes.
in these kind of property or maybe anywhere,
Yeah.
right? Do you recommend any kind of monthly savings, or back in India, the place where I come from,
Yes.
right? We're very concerned about an investment form called SIP, which is called Systematic Investment Plan,
Yes,
right?
I understand.
It's the mutual funds part,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Right. Do we have something of that sort?
Oh,
here?
absolutely. I highly recommend it. I took one out for my kids to build a college fund for my kids.
All right.
Simple enough. It's you put in a monthly amount. It's invested in a range of funds that you choose. I'm greedy, so I like to take risks in the market. Some people are not do not have the same attitude,
Okay.
so they can choose a lower risk fund. My fund was very successful,
Okay.
but it was built on every month's premiums buying into stocks and shares and other investment products, which would include property, bonds and cash, and sometimes other alternative instruments. But I like monthly savings plans, because if you look at the markets, they go up and down.
Yeah.
Now, if you put in €200 a month in a monthly savings plan, and the market is high, you're going to feel, I've spent too much buying shares this month. But then again, the market comes down like it did at the start of the year.
Okay.
Suddenly you're feeling your $200 a month is buying market at cheap prices.
Right. So that's exactly like the buying of mutual fund, number of units.
Yeah. It's number of units.
Yeah, okay.
So you buy more units
Right.
when the market is down.
Yeah.
So it all balances out a little bit. Now, what I like about my savings plan is I have a nice lump of cash in it.
Right.
And I take out lumps of it to pay college fees for my kids.
Right.
But I only take out as much as I need, and I leave the rest of it invested, and I still have my money going into it.
Super.
So
you
it's
mean
a great,
to say you partially redeem,
correct?
right? And you still continue to
Yeah.
make payments.
Was that facility still available in India when you were doing them?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have partial redemption,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's ideal because I have the self-discipline that I'm still paying the money into it.
Super, okay.
So every time I take a little bit out, so I had less to pay this year because the annual fees for my kids was reduced.
Okay.
But yes, I have to pay for their rent and a little bit for monthly and weekly expenses. So I take out a lump sum for the rent, and I take out a lump sum for their fees. And well, in fairness, in my case, I paid their weekly expenses out of my income. So I'm trying to have a little bit of money left that hopefully when they leave college, there'll be a deposit for a house for them when they're graduated.
Wonderful.
That's my plan anyway. And I tell this story to my clients.
Right.
So it gives them an opportunity to think about their own situation and give them an opportunity to maybe think, yeah, maybe that will suit for providing for my kids. We all want to give our kids the best chance in life.
Absolutely. I think that's in fact the best way to do for your kids.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Right. And so, okay, so we know about monthly investments now. What about the lump sum investments? Do you...
Again, it's down to how much risk are you prepared to take.
Okay.
The great thing about us, because we're independent, or we search the market, we're obliged to give best advice to our clients.
Okay.
So what we can do is we ask the questions, which will be, if the market fell by 20%, how would you feel?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, not that great, of course.
Yeah, but if you told me that you're going to cash in your policy next month and the market fell by 20%, how would you feel?
Not at all great.
Correct. So these sort of questions we have to ask.
Okay.
We look to see how long your investment view is, because a lot of people will say, yeah, I don't mind if the market goes up and down. I had a meeting this morning with a guy, and he says he doesn't care about the next 7 years.
Okay. So the time horizon matters.
The time horizon is huge. Okay? And so he chose a high-risk fund.
All right.
Now, his wife was completely different because she's planning to retire in 2 years' time.
Okay.
And she chose lower risk. Now, it's a lot of people don't understand is we have a huge amount of choice in investment products that we provide for our clients.
Okay.
We have obviously access to funds, mutual funds, unit-linked funds that have stocks and shares, that have property, that have government bonds, that have cash.
Right.
What they don't understand is we have access to other things like gold, commodities. We have access to property, and we have access to different classes of property, which means you can buy into a property development fund, or you can buy into a very safe property that is giving a certain return every year. You can also buy into what I describe as hedged funds. Now what they are is, the majority of the money gets invested in the markets, but out of that they will buy insurance. Insurance is a good thing.
Okay.
They will buy insurance that stops them from making a huge loss if there's a fall in the markets.
All right.
So I call them protected funds or hedged funds.
Okay.
Which means that they can still access the growth in the market,
Yeah.
but they don't have to worry about if they hear there's been a crash in the market, because it's insured that you can lock in some of their gains.
Okay.
And they still have an option of putting the money on a bet, on a share or on a fund.
Okay.
But they're not going to lose everything if it does bad.
Perfect.
Which suits a lot of people, especially with lump sums.
Right.
Now, can I ask you a couple of questions, Joe? Because
Sure, yeah.
I don't want to hog all the limelight. Now, you've been working in Ireland and working as a financial advisor in Ireland for the last few years, but you started out as a financial advisor in India.
Yes.
Now, you deal with a lot of the Indian community in Ireland, which is quite substantial.
Yeah.
But how do you find the difference between what you would advise for when you were giving people advice in India, and the products a little bit as well, and now that you're in Ireland? Is there similarities or are there differences?
Well, to be honest with you, Joe, I mean, in terms of products,
Yeah.
I think the financial products all over the globe is somewhat similar.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it is all summing up to the attitude of the people where you actually advise.
Yeah.
The geographical location matters a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when I'm in India, right, when I was, a wealth manager back in an Indian bank, so I was advising our clients,
Yes.
was advising clients who were sticking on to India.
Okay.
They were living in India,
Yes.
right? So they were literally the native Indians,
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
right? Now, when it comes to a place like Ireland,
Yeah.
right? So I've been here for like a couple of years now, and so when you talk to the Indian community, when you talk to the Indian clients, they're always concerned that they're an outsider here in Ireland,
Okay.
right? So they don't know, they're confused.
Yeah. And you help educate them a little bit more.
Absolutely. It is completely based on our perception of say, and thankfully almost all the investments what we talk here
Yeah.
are open-ended funds.
Yes.
Right. That's the best part.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. There are policies back in India where you have the closed-ended funds and you're really trapped or tied up.
And you have no access. Is
Oh
what you're
yes,
saying. Yeah,
yes.
that's
For
tricky, yeah.
at least certain
Yeah.
number of years.
Yeah, yeah.
Thankfully, you don't have that here.
Yeah.
So I think so anybody who comes to me with that sort of fear,
I would completely
right?
understand.
I would say you
yeah.
don't have to worry about anything because the market is fine.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have access to the funds which is open-ended. Right.
So people will be a little bit afraid because of their experience in India, is what you're saying, of certain types of funds, because they'd be afraid they'd be trapped.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, yes. And I think that's where the actual information about the different products.
Correct.
I mean the different products.
Yeah.
And the reason for financial planning and the advice
Yeah.
comes in place.
Now, would you have, or people have had access to products like serious illness cover now to say work with their mortgages, or salary protection when they're taking out a mortgage? Now, would you have been doing? Would the people be familiar with that now from their experience in India, or is this a new concept to them?
Oh no, I mean when it comes to mortgage, yes, because you don't use the word or term mortgage back in
Yeah.
India.
Okay.
It's called home loans.
Okay.
All right, so we just categorize it
Yeah.
as loans basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So when you take a home loan, yes, it is definitely a good option to get a protection cover.
Yes.
Right, which we call as mortgage protection.
Correct.
Right, but unfortunately, it is not mandatory back in India.
Yeah, it is here.
It is here mandatory. Right.
Yeah.
And that is where we actually start talking about the protection products to the Indian community or any people, any person for that matter, who has not described the actual market here in Ireland.
Yeah.
That's where we start with,
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you another question now, because I deal with a lot of people from different backgrounds, different nationalities. I mean, Eastern European, other Asian countries, including Chinese, and South Africans, South Americans, primarily. There's a lot of Brazilians in Ireland.
Super.
And I find the culture and the attitude of the Indians is so similar to Ireland that there's very little difference.
All right, okay.
Whereas I would look at maybe Eastern Europeans to be slightly different. And South Asians, or like Malaysians and Indians, Malaysians and Chinese,
Right.
to be slightly different. How do you find it? Now, because before you came to work for me, you were providing financial advice in the general community.
Yes.
Would you feel that that's the case as well?
I think the preference is from the attitude that matters.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when people want to do something,
Yeah.
they are desperate.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to mortgage protection, they definitely know that is definitely a need and not a want.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, they don't know about the life insurance, right? Because back in India, when you speak about life insurance, there is different parts of life insurance.
Okay.
Right? Different products associated with life insurance. Yeah. But here it is plain term.
Yes.
Right? Which is great. Yeah. Which is great. I think a simple piece of advice would be, a normal life insurance with a small part of serious illness associated, so that you're well taken care.
Yes.
Right? Plus a small bit of investments on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
I think that is a start for any individual, irrespective of whatever your annual salary is.
Yes.
Look,
I think the great thing about what we do is we look at budgets. I tell a story about people, and I have a little rule, okay? It's 50% of your money should be spent on life costs.
Okay.
30% of your money should be spent on enjoying life, and 20% of your money should be spent on providing for your future, providing for poor or a bad outcome such as death or illness or stuff like that. I think, which is insurance,
right?
Really. It's because life insurance is death insurance. It's insurance.
Yeah.
Pensions, life insurance, because you're living beyond your retirement date. So that's ensuring that you have an income after retirement.
Yes.
So I'm not afraid of the word insurance, okay? But I think you have to make a provision for what may happen.
Right.
But you still have to maintain an income for lifestyle as well.
Exactly.
And I think people can be a little afraid.
I was just about to tell you that, because the term insurance has got a very bad ill effect.
And I don't understand why, because
yes.
It's so important, because I call pensions life insurance. I call life insurance death insurance. Right. And people look at me and I say, yeah, it's what it is. And I call serious illness cover life insurance. I call salary protection living insurance. And because sometimes everything has the wrong name and the people are afraid because they don't understand. And really, it's the lack of understanding is why we're sat here today.
Exactly.
Trying to maybe broaden the education and the understanding a little bit.
Absolutely. And I think the whole purpose was to, straight from the horse's mouth is what we were looking at.
I know. I've been doing this for 30 years now, so it's long enough now. So, look, there's it's unlikely to be a financial situation that I have not experienced.
All right.
So I have people that are still afraid to talk to me about some of their problems, and I say to them, don't be foolish. Mm-hmm. Just share with me, and I'll tell you what I believe is your best options.
Perfect.
It was So
Joe, we discussed about the monthly investments. We discussed about the lump sum investments. Certain options. What's your take? You being in the industry for a very long while, right? What's your take on crypto?
Yeah. Okay. I get asked about crypto too often.
Okay.
My view is I don't trust it.
Okay.
I understand it, but I am quite negative on it.
All right.
My reasoning why is the regulatory authorities have not yet figured out how to regulate it.
Okay.
Because of the way it's set up with blockchain, it's actually it's very hard to track. It's very hard to identify where it is and what jurisdiction it's in.
Okay.
So, Central Bank of Ireland, the Fed, the FCA in the UK, it doesn't matter what country you're in, they're all trying to figure out how they can regulate it.
Okay.
My main issue at this moment in time is the only people who are actually using crypto are people involved in criminality.
All right.
The rest of the people who hold crypto are effectively participating in a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme,
Okay.
which only benefits the people who are in at the earliest. So my view is until it's regulated, until they've found a means by which they can make it legal and track it, trace it, I would never go near crypto or a crypto fund or anybody who recommends that you invest in this type of crypto or that type of crypto because it's going to go up. Now, I'm glad I did because a lot of people ask me about it, and of course, you've heard a lot in the news. It's really fallen badly, and that is because it's unregulated and people have been taking liberties who are at the top of the chain.
Right.
So, not for me, and I don't recommend it for any of my clients.
Okay.
Okay.
So would you reinstate that statement by not now, or is it going to be for?
That is not until it's regulated.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Stay away until it's regulated, because all you're doing is taking a huge risk with it. And
Of course, I've seen certain coins
Yes.
going up 999% just one day.
I know. And how much have they fallen by? There's a coin that fell by 99.99% last month. So it's not real money. It's only purely based on demand.
Okay. All right. No, that's perfect. I mean, that was well addressed. I would say.
I'm very conservative when it comes to people risking their funds.
All right. Right.
And I think as financial advisors, we have a duty to share that view.
Of course. I think that's the true essence of being a financial advisor.
Correct. We really we're doing what's in the best interest of our clients, and sometimes it goes against what they want to do, but sometimes we have to encourage them to listen to us and be a little bit more careful with their money.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Joe. I mean, now to move forward, I have a very specific question which actually came into my mind when we thought of this video. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, from the place where I come is what I could actually relate to.
Okay.
Right. So we're not that familiar with a term pension.
Yeah.
Right. So back in India, I mean, it is not that you can do it by yourself.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, like 5 or 6 years back.
Yeah.
You didn't have an option, right?
Okay.
Right. But now, you might have a couple of options.
Yeah.
Right. But it is very common here in Ireland.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Right. So, how important is a pension, or for any person? Just like we discussed about the financial planning. I know it is part of financial planning.
Yeah.
Right. So, in just being very specific about this instrument.
Okay. I have different things that I'll say about pensions. I'm going to go through them first.
Okay.
The number one most important thing about a pension is you get tax relief on every penny you pay into it, or every cent you pay into it. I'm still old-fashioned. Right. I come pre-euro, but I still say pennies.
Okay.
So if you're a 20% taxpayer, you get 20% tax relief. If you're a 40% taxpayer, you get 40% tax relief.
That's straight away.
Straight away.
Yeah. Perfect.
So let's say you put 1,000 euros into a pension,
Right.
and you're a 40% taxpayer, it only actually going to cost you 600 euros.
Right.
Which means you have effectively had a 66% return on your money,
Right.
thanks to the revenue of Ireland.
Of course. Yeah.
That's a great return on your money, whatever you invest your money in. Now, as a regular saving method, I think it's a very good option. It's the best option as long as you're prepared to leave your money to retirement age.
All right.
Because we've already discussed savings plans.
Yeah.
That's for earlier access.
Right.
So, I come across on a regular basis people who say, oh, I've bought a rental property, that's my pension.
Yeah.
And I've my business, that's my pension.
Right.
And I turn around to say to them, okay, what if the rental property has structural issues and it has to be knocked down?
Okay.
What happens?
Okay.
There's a big scandal in Ireland about properties with structural issues that have been knocked down.
Yes.
Or what say if your business fails? What happens then?
Okay.
What I'm saying is that pension, like I said to you before, is an insurance.
Okay.
It's an insurance that you're going to live beyond your working life, which is 60 or 65, or in some cases 68 or 70.
Yeah.
It's an insurance that you're saying, in case I live this long, which is likely because we're all projected to live to 83
Yeah.
as men and 85 as women.
Okay.
This is a backup.
Right. Setting up some funds to access.
Correct.
At that point in time.
Correct. You can add to it with your rental property or your business or your sale of your business, but my problem is 40% of the businesses in Ireland, when people retire, they stay within the family, so the people who retire don't get any money.
Okay.
And they don't think about that.
All right.
So how many cases have I got where people are 60 years old, business owners are 60 years old, they've realised they're not going to be able to sell their business because their kids are taking it over, and they're suddenly panicking saying, I have nothing set by for retirement.
Okay.
And they're putting lots of money into pensions because they're not going to be able to sell their business.
Right.
So pensions are important. They're the best way of saving money in Ireland as long as you're prepared to wait until retirement age.
Super.
And you can choose your funds again, like we said, with investments. So I think they're important. Look, again, you can do add-on pensions. You can, if you're self-employed, you can have a pension. If you're an employee and your employer doesn't provide a pension, you can take out a pension on your own. A lot of employers will pay money into a pension. If you're paying into a pension, they will match it.
Right.
And in many cases, people who join jobs when they're not going to qualify for a full pension can take a top-out pension, which is called an ABC.
Okay.
And that is their tool by which they can build on what they're going to get in retirement.
It's a form where you use to fill in your shortcomings, isn't it?
No, you can calculate how much, if you're working for a company, let's say the HSE,
Right.
you can get a projection of what pensions you're going to get.
Right.
Well, we can calculate it as because we're familiar with the HSE scheme, but they can turn around and say, well, you're going to get this amount in retirement, and we can calculate what your shortfall is going to be.
Okay.
And you can fund that by either buying extra with the HSE or buying it privately with an AVC.
All right. All right. And when you buy it with privately, I mean, from the private brokers, you still have access to the tax back.
Oh, you still get the tax back, absolutely. Oh no, all pensions. As long as you're paying tax, you can get tax relief on it.
All right. All right. But if your employer pays for you, you don't get any tax relief, no?
Oh, well, if the employer is paying money into it,
Yeah.
you are effectively getting tax relief because it's counted as a benefit in kind if your employer is paying into it.
Okay.
But you don't have to pay tax on it because it's going into a pension.
All right.
So you are still getting tax benefits.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
that's wonderful. And so when you say about pensions,
Yeah.
right? So we spoke about self-employed
Yes.
employees, right,
Yeah.
of different sort,
Yeah.
right? But there are people who switches their jobs,
Correct.
irrespective of having their pensions with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's very
So
common nowadays.
Yeah, that happens in HSE or
Yeah.
any stream.
Yeah.
Right. So how do they? I mean, is it easy to change their pensions, or how does it work?
In most cases, it's easy. Okay.
Okay.
It depends on if you have what's called a defined contribution or a defined benefit pension.
Okay.
If you have a defined benefit pension, that's calculated based on your salary and your years of service. We don't recommend that you change those. Okay, because what's happened is they're generally guaranteed by either the government or the company that's providing it.
Right. And that's with defined benefit.
That's defined benefit.
Great.
If it's defined contribution, then what really happens with your pension is your money goes into the pension,
Yeah.
and then it's invested,
Right.
and whatever value it is when you retire is what buys your retirement income. Now, that type of pension you can bring with you. You can bring it onto your next job, or you can put it into a private pot in your own name.
All right.
So you have a lot more flexibility with that.
All right.
And I deal with a lot of people who move jobs on a regular basis. And a lot of times they're asking me to consolidate their pensions. and it's very common, it's very straightforward. We handle all the paperwork and it makes life very easy for people to keep a good grasp on it. And it's also useful because we have a facility on our website which allows people to go online and check their values and have a little bit of comfort knowing they have access to their money.
Great.
And their information.
Perfect. Well, Joe, we spoke about different types of investments.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there's one particular term in the industry, right, in terms of investments, which has been rolling on for quite a long while now.
Yeah.
The term ESG. Definitely know you're very familiar with that.
I am, yes,
right?
yes.
So is that really going to be a game changer for maybe conservative investors? I think it is meant to be for conservative investors.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I look at ESG. I mean, I don't want to use jargon. ESG stands for ethical and social governance. Really, more the purpose of that is trying to find or support companies that have a better involvement in letting people understand how they work, letting people understand that they're trying to follow ethical practices, trying to source ethical ingredients or raw materials.
Okay. In short, is it a better culture that they're trying to portray?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've all heard about the 9-year-old child in Ghana working in the mines.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So, and the 12-year-old in Bangladesh working in the cloth factories.
Right.
Really, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to lead a little bit from the top down, in that saying, if we're recommending companies that source their materials from more responsible companies, we will encourage better habits amongst the lower companies and the raw material suppliers and nations to have better attitudes, to look after their staff better, to look after the environment better. So this is more of a top-down approach. It's more a leadership situation that we're involved in here. Now, what's happening now, because you may have heard there was a big environmental summit in Egypt.
Yes.
The COP27. They're trying to encourage all nations to be a little bit more environmentally aware. Now, some good results came out of that. They weren't as good as we hoped for, but they're now saying that richer nations will support and recompense poorer nations for any losses that they'll have by adopting better practices. So, now what we're finding is in other words, where does that lead us to? A lot of our clients, now it's a growing number, it's not a majority yet, but it's a growing number of our clients saying, I want my funds to invest in ethical funds. I want my pension to go into ethical funds. And then I can say to them, I say, look, we have a range of ethical funds. Now, some of them there's a scale for measuring, we use software for establishing how ethical the funds are. And we can say, yeah, we're happy that this is an ethical fund. And we can say, that fund that you like, that's not an ethical fund. And we let them make the decision, although we try and encourage them. So we're trying to provide a little bit, as financial advisors, a little bit of a leadership situation. Now, what's my view in the long term? I think following the summit in Egypt, a lot of nations are buying in a lot more to it. The leadership is finding its feet in governmental situations where now they will get closer to insisting on it. And I think the people who have supported the companies that I would class as early adopters will see a benefit there. So I believe anybody who is investing in ethical funds now will see the benefit in time to come, because a lot of the fund managers will be forced to buy more into the ethical companies. So I'm hopeful that these will see more rises in value than the non-ethical companies, because there will be more investment in the ethical companies, and when there's more investment, values go up. And I'm hoping that our clients who've started early
Okay.
will
Right.
see the benefit.
That's perfect. Okay. So it is indirectly developing our social responsibility.
We're trying to take a little bit of a leadership situation.
Great.
But we can't force people, but we can encourage people.
So that's definitely going to be a game changer.
It will in the long term, yes. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm hoping it's less than, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Now, let's come to the last part of the question.
Oh God.
Right.
Go on.
Of this chat.
Yes.
Right. So, you being a veteran
Yeah.
in the industry.
Yeah.
Right. So for over 30 years, right? Back in UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
And you've started this business for more than, or roughly about 20 years now.
Yeah.
Right. So, what is your take? I would say maybe a piece of advice which comes out of the horse's mouth, right? Irrespective of whatever the market condition is,
Yeah.
or the maybe to find out something that you would give to your people who comes to you.
My clients.
Yes. So I think that 30 years of
Yeah.
experience must speak now.
Well, there's a lot of people who I'd love to go back to and say, I told you so, who didn't listen to my advice.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who came back to me and says, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you.
Okay.
I think what is most important for me when I'm meeting with people is that I can convey
Right.
why I'm recommending.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are not fully understanding of their financial situation. And when I recommend that they do something, if they don't understand the reason why I'm recommending it,
Okay.
a lot of them will not follow through.
Okay.
A lot of people, I will say, ask me to meet them because they want to start a pension. And then I've collected a little bit of information because I do like to have an understanding of their overall financial situation. I say, really, before we do the pension, I need to set up some income protection, because if you don't have an income, you can't pay into the pension.
Right.
And some people say, I'll be grand.
Okay. Right.
And then things go wrong.
Right. So you mean to say you follow a certain protocol?
I do, yeah. I think, look, there's four things in life.
Right.
4 what I call financial fears
Okay.
that everybody has a little bit of.
Okay.
Number 1 is that you're not going to be able to work,
Okay.
which means no income.
Right.
Now, one of those is not having a job. But it's not that difficult to find another job in Ireland. But the biggest part of that is not being able to work because you're ill, or you've had a disability, or you've had an accident.
Right.
Okay?
It's a major concept.
That's huge. That's the biggest one.
Yes.
Okay? The next one is death.
Okay. Severe. That's
Yeah, it's that's the next thing I look at. Okay? If either you or your wife, I mean, I'm selfish. I think about my death more than I think about my wife's death.
right.
And being able to provide for your family.
Right. Exactly.
If you're not there. That's big. The next one is not dying, which means I come to a retirement age and I get my clock and my party at 65,
Right.
and I get pushed out
Yeah.
and enjoy the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And that's retirement,
Right.
and that's pensions.
Okay. Okay.
And a lot of people are afraid because they know they haven't got enough, or they know that what they've got is going to result in a huge lifestyle change.
Okay.
And the last one, which we brushed on there, is providing for our kids.
Okay.
And this is one thing I find is huge similarity between Irish people and most other communities, but especially the community you're a part of,
Right.
is we really want to give our kids the most positive start in life as we possibly can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And those are the 4 things that people lose sleep over when it comes to money.
Right.
And that's what basically defines my job.
Great. I think that's a brilliant answer. Now you covered, so when it comes to the first fear, right, loss of job.
Yeah.
You covered income protection.
Yeah.
Which is the most.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you've no
important
income,
part
you
of
can't
insurance.
provide for the other ones.
Exactly. And the second fear, you covered life insurance.
Yeah.
Maybe including the serious illness.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And the third fear you mentioned was about pensions, retirement planning.
Yeah.
Great. And the fourth one is definitely the monthly investments. Or
that's
any
a
kind
solution.
Of,
yeah.
yes.
You're telling me about solutions. I'm telling you about the fears. This is what people worry about. We provide the solutions.
Right. No, I really like the way you put it across. I mean, the 4 fears is completely associated with the very first question I asked you.
Yeah.
Right. So it is definitely falling under the use or why financial planning.
Yeah.
Great.
And this is why how I explain it to people, because a lot of people don't understand why we say you must have this.
Right.
And I feel like when I've recommended something and they say, no, I just want to do this, I feel like I failed a little bit. And I don't feel great about that.
Okay.
But the great thing is look, I've had relationships with my clients for 20, 30 years, and I will go back and I'll encourage them to reconsider, and in most cases they will understand, because I sometimes say I failed to explain to you how important this is.
Right.
And then they will understand that it is important to me, and once they've developed that level of trust in me, whereas they will take it out even though they maybe didn't want to, or maybe couldn't really afford to, they will understand how important it is.
Okay.
And that's important to me, because I don't want that phone call from the client saying, why didn't you?
Right.
When they've hit that situation.
I think that's the key purpose, that we go and visit them and make them understand.
Oh, absolutely, because our whole purpose is we will continue to look after these people.
Yes.
Through their life, their financial life.
Right.
And it's great now, because I'm now in a position where I'm meeting the children and the grandchildren of the people that I dealt with originally.
Right.
And I mean, that gives me great satisfaction.
Absolutely.
When people say, I want you to meet my grandson, and I'm like, holy hell, how am I that old? And that's it. So it's very satisfying.
Great. I think that's the best part of our job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, Joe, that's all the questions I had for you this morning.
That's great.
Thank you very much. And I think all your answers were crisp, clear, and absolutely jargon-free.
I hope so.
And that was the whole purpose of this video, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Excellent. I hope people will learn a little bit from it. And thank you very much.
Perfect, Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hope you all learned something out of this chat today. And thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And for more details, log on to www.clevermoney.ie. Thank you.